In today's video, I wanted to go through my entire history selling digital products from 2017 all the way through now. I'm going to be sharing some real revenue numbers. I'm going to be sharing some real student numbers. I'm going to be really candidly sharing a lot of information with you today that I think hopefully you'll find valuable. The reason I wanted to do this is because I think for me, at least back then when I was first starting, the idea of looking at someone doing what I wanted to do and comparing where they are now or where they were in that moment compared to where I was in that moment, I always found that to be incredibly intimidating. And the prospect of me bridging that gap or the delta between where I was and where they were and where I wanted to be, I always found it to be not inspiring, not helpful. I found it to be overwhelming. And I think hopefully today, through sharing some of this and being really candid with you guys, it'll help you bridge the gap a little bit more and kind of understand the progression you need to go through, the lessons you need to learn in order to build the business that you want to build and make the money that you want to make. Because, I open every video, I tell you I have this business, but all of that's pretty fucking useless unless I motivate you guys to actually start taking action. And that's the real goal behind this channel, is to get a lot of you to start taking action, because it's not the first action you take that's going to create the results you want. It's usually the action you take that's going to create the next action and the next action and the next action. And then before you know it, 3 years from now, you'll have a business you barely believe or wouldn't be able to comprehend currently. And that's the goal. So this is my entire history selling digital products from 2017 all the way through till 2024 or right now. I have a few things here and there that I've decided not to include that were like one-off launches and, workshops and all those sort of things that I've done here and there. But all in all, this is the bulk of everything I've sold from 2017 all the way through till now. So this was my first product all the way back in 2017. I started Instagram or started creating content on the internet in around October of 2016. Or maybe a little bit earlier, maybe like June, July of 2016. And up until that point in the first year that I was making content, I think I'd gained around 1,000 to 1,500 followers. And around that time, Lightroom presets had started to take off. There are a few YouTubers that were successfully selling, a few YouTubers and Instagrammers that were successfully selling Lightroom presets and making an enormous amount of money doing so. And as a result, a lot of companies started to pop up that were kind of third-party or intermediary companies that would help content creators sell presets as a way for them to make money. And then they would take a cut off the top in exchange for creating the landing page, creating everything. So a lot of these companies existed. And for me, it was a company called Filtergrade who approached me and let me know that they think that I could make some money selling presets. And so immediately my naive self decided I would throw my hat in the ring, and with 1,500 or 2,000 followers, I would sell something to them. And the irony is that I genuinely believed at the time that this would be my golden ticket. Up until that point, I was working freelance. So until 2016 or until October of 2016, I worked as a personal trainer. That's how I made my money. I worked full time. And then in October of 2016, I quit my job and started freelancing as a photographer and videographer. I was filming for a lot of my old PT colleagues, so helping them with marketing stuff, photos, videos, nothing crazy, but I would make a couple $100 every single time I did it. I filmed for a few gyms, so a few of the people that I worked with in the past went off and started gyms. So I would go through and film their photos, their videos, whatever they needed for their content. And then I was also doing some stuff for a few local sports teams. I was doing reels for rugby players that wanted to get contracts overseas. I was filming for rowing teams. I was doing a bunch of stuff, and all in all, I was bringing in about $40,000 to $50,000 Australian for the year. And I saw this as my way to stop doing that. And I launched, and between launching and eventually taking the product down, so not even immediately, but between launching in October of 2017 all the way through till pretty much 2020 when I eventually tried to or stopped communicating with the company. I think the company doesn't even exist anymore. I made $300 and had 11 customers total. I was disappointed, but I think it was a bit of a reality check for me. I think it was the first time that I realized that making money on the internet is not as easy as you initially think it's going to be. It's really fucking hard to get people to part ways with cash in exchange for something that you sell, especially digital products. As simple as I try to make it seem, it's because I'm taking a simple theory or simple in theory action, but it's in practice, incredibly difficult. And I think the distinction, or learning the distinction between those two things, that something can be simple in theory but difficult in execution, is really important. And that was probably the most valuable lesson I learned from this situation, is that I had a number in my mind. I'd done the math and gone, for me to make $2,000, $3,000 Australian a month, I need to sell this many customers. And I immediately thought that'd be easy because I had 2,000, 2,500, I think, between there, somewhere around their amount of followers. How hard can it be to convert a couple hundred people every single month into a product? And I was later taught, very difficult. And so I had a big break between September or October of 2017 and November of 2020. I didn't sell anything to my audience. I made all of my money continuing to build my business on the side as a freelancer. But then, as I'm sure a lot of you will remember, in March of 2020, COVID happened. And for us in Melbourne, or in Australia where I live, it hit us pretty hard. So almost immediately, my business was completely eliminated. Gyms obviously closed. Weddings were cancelled. I processed about, I think, $15,000 worth of wedding refunds, which is not a lot in the grand scheme of things. But for me at the time, as a 20-something, early 20s kid who was barely scraping by with his business, it was a big deal for me. And so my business was wiped out overnight. I was getting paid to stay at home. So the government was paying us, a couple $1,000s a month to basically not work. And I had an enormous amount of free time. I was also at the time getting to the point where I'd built my audience to about 80 to 85,000 followers with digital art and photography and everything that I was doing on that page. But I was starting to learn that I don't really like this that much. I'm not as passionate about photography and digital art as I initially thought. And so I was stuck between a rock and a hard place where my business was eliminated. I didn't really want to go back to building that after COVID eventually subsided. But I also didn't want to stop or give up on the dream of doing this. And so I had the now very delusional thought that if I don't enjoy it, I'll at least try to make it profitable. And hopefully if it's profitable, I'll begin to enjoy it. And so I started to sink my teeth into building this course, which I called Photoshop for Content Creators, because at the time I was doing digital art. And so I created a course where I basically taught people from start to finish how to create the artworks that I was posting on my account, or some of my most popular artworks or popular styles. And it was a really good course. I was really proud of the program I created. It was about 10 hours of content. I put an enormous amount of work into it. I edited everything myself. I built everything myself. I did, however, hire help. So I had someone consulting or helping me build a course. I was paying them, I think I paid them about $1,500 the first time. I then had a Facebook ads manager or someone helping me with Facebook ads for $1,500. And I spent about $2,500 on the ads themselves, or running the ads themselves. I also sunk about $1,000 into the design. I'm not as good a designer as you can see here. So I had a designer build not only the logo for the program, but also the mock-ups, everything that I needed for the landing page and all that sort of stuff. I personally sunk an enormous amount of time into the landing page, all the marketing material, all the Facebook ads, everything that I did. To this day, I'm still very proud of everything there. And then I also had some friends help me film the marketing material. So help me film some promo videos for the program. So all in all, going into the launch, I think I was about $6,000 or $7,000 in the hole to begin with. So not a great start, but in my mind, again, delusionally, I saw this as my golden goose. I remember having dinner with a friend of mine who was also a content creator. And I said to them, and hilariously, they didn't even bat an eye at this. They were like, wow, this is so amazing. You're going to make so much money. But I was selling the program for 297 Australian dollars. And I had in my mind that if I just get 500 customers, I'll make like $150,000 Australian. So around 100,000 US dollars. And in my mind, I genuinely saw that as very realistic. I saw anywhere between 500 and 1,000 customers for the first launch to be a really good start, which is insane. to be honest, for my first product or for my first real product that I sunk my teeth into. And for me to be in a position where I had so much riding on its success, I had such enormous expectations, and then I'd already sunk a lot of money into it because of my high expectations. For me to go into the launch and make $5,940 US from 20 customers was heartbreaking, to be honest. It was really personally crushing. There was a few wins, to be honest. We had the first day I made 1,000 Australian dollars, the very first day that I launched the course. And although that was underwhelming in terms of what I thought I was going to do, that was the first time in my life where I really genuinely saw money that I never thought I'd be capable of making. $1,000 in a day from a digital product that I didn't have to do any work for, like actively do any work that day for, blew my fucking mind. And so the win there was understanding that this is possible. Where I want to go is possible. I'm just not there yet. And I think if I had gone into this course with the approach I would have taken now and made this money on the first launch, I would have probably continued down this road. But unfortunately, because I was in the position where I wasn't really enjoying my work as a digital artist anymore, my audience kind of felt I didn't feel connected to the audience I was building. I didn't feel like there was a connection there. Like, you know, the audience I have now is phenomenal. And I really didn't feel that way back then. And I just wasn't that passionate about the work anymore. But I made the mistake of, after this launch, I took the course down. I decided that I was going to revamp it. I was going to invest more time, invest more money. I paid $6,000 to a online course coach or an online course mentor who was absolutely fucking terrible, and very aggressive sales strategy. I remember I was on a sales call with him and I had no money at the time. I had fucking very little money to my name. And I was on a sales call where it genuinely felt like I either have to swipe my credit card and commit to three $2,000 payments for the next 3 months, or I don't get off the sales call. And so, you know, being really young and naive and being promised the world, I swiped my credit card and paid for something I really couldn't afford. And it's, pisses me off to this day, to be honest. So I invested more money. I invested more time. I tried to build this course up again. I rebuilt the landing page. I did a bunch of things. And then around middle of 2021, I just pulled the pin. I canceled the whole thing. I finished the payments with this person, but wiped my hands and called it a day. And I just never launched it ever again. So this course still exists. I still have it on a hard drive somewhere, but we never relaunched. And I think all in all, we finished about $6,000 in the hole, if you take all revenue and all costs included. So not a great first start, and quite a humbling experience in terms of business. Then I took a year off. So from January or July of 2021 all the way through till July or June of 2022, I took a year off to complete an Ironman. Again, the Australian government was still paying us to stay at home. I actually made a bit of money selling NFTs at the beginning of 2021. So I was a digital artist, right place, right time. I already owned some crypto. I already owned some Ethereum, and I sold some NFTs and made not enough money that it was life-changing. Well, it was life-changing in the grand scheme of where my life has gone since then, but I made enough money that for the next 12 months, I didn't have to worry about money. And I've never had that experience, or had never had that experience in my entire life. And that gave me a lot of freedom to really think about what I wanted to do, because I basically had a bankroll to be able to make longer term decisions. I didn't need to say yes to every single client. I wasn't desperate for wedding bookings. I wasn't desperate to reopen my business. I wasn't in desperate need of running this course. And honestly, the NFTs is the reason why I didn't launch this again. I was able to sort of walk away, wipe my hands and go, I don't need this desperately. And if I don't want to do it, if it's not a fuck yes, it's a no. And that was the decision I made. And so I took a year off. I completed an Ironman. If you guys can see the two bikes I have in the background, I still race Ironmans to this day. it was the best decision I've ever made, because for the first time in my life, I learnt a lot of lessons around what it takes to become successful at something if you truly commit to it. And if you're interested in hearing more about this story, I have a video on my landing page that goes through this entire process, or this entire story, basically from the middle of 2021 all the way through till today. So if you want to check that out, it'll be the top line of the description. It goes through my entire journey up until this point. So that'll be linked down below. But then I came back in June of 2022, kind of refreshed, and I won't go into it too much today, but I came back refreshed and kind of with a new interpretation of what I needed to do in terms of my content, in terms of my business, and in terms of where I wanted to go. And I set myself the goal then of making $50,000 in a single month. I was hell for leather and decided that I wasn't going to stop at anything to make that a reality. And for context, the most money I'd ever made from anything, including my freelance business, including filming weddings, including all of it, the most amount of money that I'd ever made in a single month up until that point was 15,000 Australian dollars in a single month, which is, $8,000 or $9,000. So the prospect of me going from that to then making $50,000 in a single month from just digital products was pretty much the equivalent of me asking to land on the moon. It was an impossibility. But I set that goal because I realized that I am capable of so much more than I think I am. And I can basically ask the world for anything I want, but then it's up to me to do it. And so I set that goal in June of 2022, and I decided that I wanted to hit it before the end of the year. And so I released my first product shortly after starting to make content again. And since then, from July of 2022 all the way through till now, that product has made $2,221 from 88 customers. Again, nothing to write home about. But I think for me, it was a valuable lesson in how to sell a digital product and how to do it properly, or at least how to start. I spent nothing to build this product. I designed everything myself. I built everything myself. This was a product I already had. I already had Media Kit templates that I'd built for actually helping my real world clients back in the day. So all I did was templatize things that I already had, templatize systems I already used, and sold them to my audience. And I think with this product, I think I made around $150 in a single day from a $25 product. And that was the first time where I really recognized the power of building something and putting it out on the internet and then putting marketing behind it. But again, it wasn't enough. And so about a month later, or that same month, I think, I sold the typewriter template, which in my mind was a broader audience or a broader total audience and would probably create more intrigue with my audience, but it was also something that I could more naturally integrate into my content. This template is something I still use to this day, but it's just a motion graphics template that helps you make a typewriter template or a typewriter effect when you want to put something on screen. I might even show it working right now. But it's just something that I could very easily naturally integrate into my content. I could very easily mention in every single video, and I could very easily drive people towards. It was just a $19 product. It was very simple to sell, very easy to make. I made it in about an afternoon. And to this day, that product has made $18,603 from 689 customers. And again, nothing to write home about, but I think from this product, we hit our first $250 or maybe even $500 day early on. I think I remember I went out for dinner, or McKeely and I had just started dating at the time, or about a year into our relationship at the time. Yeah, we were going out for our 1-year anniversary, and I remember we were going to a paint and sip place, and I said to her in the car, because I was checking the Gumroad sales, I was like, I just made $250 in a single day from this digital product. And I couldn't believe it. It blew my mind. The prospect that I was making $250, and then I did the math. I was like, $250, if you times it by 365, that's $90,000. That's over 130 Australian dollars. That's incredible. If I can do that every day, my business will be completely changed forever. And so that really lit a fire under my ass in terms of my commitment to selling digital products. And so a little shortly after that, I made another product that I saw as an even broader audience that I could even better naturally integrate, that I actually really enjoy doing. Color grading is something to this day that I genuinely enjoy doing in my workflow. And so I built a product that I thought I could really push, and I really pushed this product. And to this day, this product has made $210,827 from 6,482 customers. But the most insane part about this product, or the most insane part about this experience, was I think we had a $2,500 or $3,000 day from this product. And this was the first time that I really learned the power of organic marketing and the power of creating content and the power of building an audience, because I really could at the time. I remember I had a series of content that was going viral around color grading and around before and afters. And it was like clockwork, where I could post a piece of content, I could know how many views, or based on how many views it got, how many sales I was going to get in the next 24, 36, and 48 hours. And for the first time in my life, I really felt like I was in control of how much money I was capable of making. And to go through that experience lit a fucking fire under my ass. But the craziest part about all of this, to bring it back to the goal that I set in June of 2022 to make $50,000 before the end of the year. Shortly after launching this product in November of 2022, I made $49,640 or $650, which, yes, is failed. Like, I didn't actually reach the goal I wanted to get to, but it was absolutely fucking mind-blowing that I was actually capable of doing what I set out to do. And so from that, or based on that response, I then sort of saw anything as possible after that point. And so I started to post things. I started to share these results. I started to post stories of how much money this product was making per day and how well it was doing, and how I honestly felt like I discovered a trick. I was like, this doesn't even make any fucking sense. You know, how is this possible? How am I doing this? I would love to try and test this with other people. And so I started to work with a few creators here and there to help them with their own digital products. I didn't charge for this. I just, would get on calls with them and help them set things up. And I noticed that the same questions started to come up over and over and over again. And so I created the first version of Time to Build, which was a workshop designed to help you build your audience and monetize. Because at the time as well, from June of 2022 all the way through till October of 2022, I'd also built my audience from about 70,000 followers at the time all the way through till I think I hit like 190,000 followers by October. So I'd grown my audience in the last 90 days, or in those 90 days, by over 100,000 followers. So I really felt like I was capable of teaching or capable of sharing something of value to other people. And so I created a one-off workshop. It was just a 2-hour workshop. It was $59. I was like, fuck it, I'll put it out, see what happens, and we'll see where we go from there. And the first launch did $8,810 from 86 students. Again, nothing to write home about. And I didn't really see this as my golden goose at the time. I just saw it as, I'm going to try and be genuinely valuable and see what happens as a result of that. And I absolutely loved it. I loved every minute of this workshop. It was supposed to be 2 hours. I think we ran for 4 or 5 hours if you take the teaching plus the Q&A. The feedback was amazing. Some of the results people started to achieve just 30 days, 60 days after this workshop, and it was just a one-off workshop, were insane. Everything about it was incredible. And so I wanted to do a version 2. And in December of 2022, I launched version 2 of Time to Build, which was pretty much the exact same, $79 rather than $59. And I made $7,194 from 79 students, which is a bit of a pullback from the initial thing. But again, it taught me that I really deeply enjoy what I'm doing with this program. I enjoy teaching people. I enjoy helping others achieve the same results that I have. I've always kind of felt like I have a responsibility to help as many people like me achieve the same results that I've been fortunate enough to achieve. Because I genuinely at the time felt like I can't believe the life that I'm getting to live or the results I'm achieving. And I want to help as many other people as I possibly can achieve the same thing. So I went back to the drawing board after this one and decided I wanted to make this bigger. I wanted to improve what I was doing. I wanted to make this something that I was actually dedicating time to. And so I created the first version of what Time to Build currently is today. I moved it to a community. I stretched it out over 3 weeks rather than just one session. I made it 4 lessons over 2 weeks and then a third week of Q&A calls and community stuff. I added a bunch of homework assignments. I added a workbook. I added all the things that have made the program what it is today. And I launched the first version. I think it was like $299 or something like that. And we had $24,287 from 60 students. Which I actually found underwhelming at the time. I remember I was super excited for this launch. I was really hyping it up. I put a lot of work into everything that I was doing, and I thought it would do better. I really thought that I could predictably get, around 80 to 90, even 100 students. And to do this number, I was disappointed. I can't even lie. But I'd learned so many lessons from the years prior around overcommitting and having enormous expectations. I'd learnt my lessons. And so I knew that if I wanted to continue to grow this, all I need to do is continue to iterate what I'm doing and continue to try and make it better. Because as much as this was a disappointing result, the results that my students were achieving, the feedback I was getting from my students, every other signal behind revenue screamed that this was a good product and I needed to follow my gut on this one. And so I created a version 4, which was the first time that I really put some money behind it. I basically invested every dollar that I made from this launch and moved it into the next launch. We did it only 2 or 3 months later. I extended the program. I got a designer to help me with the logo. I built a new landing page. I did a whole bunch of stuff to really see what I could do with this one. And we did $68,348 from 102 students. And this was the first time that I had a single launch eclipse 100,000 Australian dollars, which to this day is still the most insane accomplishment or the most insane milestone I've ever surpassed in my life. I don't think any other milestone will ever come close to that feeling. And this was also the first time where I really started to feel the momentum behind me in terms of all the students I'd worked with in the past, all the progress I was making. Everything started to make sense around iterative products and how over time, if you continue to just take a few steps forward each time, over a year, over 2 years, over 3 years, you'll build a product that is absolutely fucking phenomenal, that looks like you've spent an enormous amount of time in one moment to build, but in actuality has been built progressively over an enormous period of time. And it really started to click in my mind. And so just a few months after that, I launched version 5 of this cohort. Again, even more commitment. I think we extended it out to 6 weeks for this one, doubled the lessons, doubled the commitment, made the community better, launched and made $166,151 from 140 students. And again, blew my fucking mind. I couldn't believe it. I was kind of at a loss for words, but again, the momentum was behind me. I felt really good about everything that I was doing. I felt like I was building something that was genuinely valuable for the people involved. People were achieving even better results. I was starting to get some messages from past students from 1, 2, and 3 that were like, I've done this, this, and this. This is incredible. And so I started to feel a really strong mission behind everything that I was doing in regards to these products and decided to commit even more. And so in February of this year, I launched version 6, where I invested an enormous amount of money. I think I invested 60,000 Australian dollars. So around $40,000 or something like that into the launch of this one, not including just everything else that surrounds it, not including like subscriptions, not including just the staff that help me, my employees that help me with my content regularly. I invested a massive amount of money into this launch, brand new landing page, brand new everything. We did $306,000 and 306,064 US dollars from 178 students, which was fucking crazy. Still to this day, the most insane thing ever. And this is kind of where we're at the moment. We did another launch in April of 2024, April earlier this year, and we did $221,346 US dollars from 110 students. Lessons learned there, we experienced a little bit of price resistance, bumping the price up to what it is at the moment. I also kind of realized that this was way too many students, a lot of lessons learned in these last two cohorts. So the pullback was kind of as to be expected. But I think the main reason I wanted to share this with you today is for this reason. I think a lot of creators, or at least everyone that I see online, are kind of coming into this with the expectation that you can plan or perfectly plan exactly what you're going to do and then go out and execute and achieve exactly what you want to achieve. And almost never, in my experience, is that the case. In actuality, what your career is going to look like is iteration. It's going to look like an enormous amount of products, an enormous amount of progress made over an enormous amount of time. But whilst you're in it, it's going to feel like constant failures over and over again. As much as this might feel like it was just a linear line upwards, you have to remember between a lot of these products, there is years. There was 3 years between me releasing product 1 and product 2. There was another 1 year and 8 months between product 2 and product number 3. And then only after that, it was another year or another year and a half between where I started here and where I am today. And I think if you can kind of adopt this mindset of being an iterator, if you can just do small steps incrementally over an enormous period of time, you'll make incredible progress. You won't believe where you end up a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5, 10, 15 years from now. And I think that's been the biggest lesson I've learned in everything that I do, is that it really isn't about planning. It really isn't about executing perfectly. It really isn't even about having the perfect product right now. It's about releasing anything, taking the lessons you learn, and then developing something over a long period of time. If you are interested in learning more, if you are interested in being involved in Time to Build, if you want to learn from this program, if you want to get involved, I'll leave a link in the second line or first or second line in the description that'll take you to a free workshop that I run for this program that's kind of an intro. It basically covers everything in terms of building a personal brand and monetizing your audience from a really mile-high perspective to set you up really nicely if you are interested in coming into this program. But that is entirely free, no strings attached, nothing that you need to do. I'm not tricking you. It is a funnel, so, marketing. But if you are interested, I'll leave that in the first or second line of the description and you can check that out today. So yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.